Hello everyone, this is Rick and welcome to Astral Club. This is Astral Projection Speed. Before we get into it, just want to mention a couple things. Patreon. If you'd like to support the work of this channel, you can certainly do so on Patreon. When you join, you get advanced podcasts, a chat function where you can chat with everybody, and a direct mail where you can ask me questions that you don't want to put into the chat. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, just go ahead down to the description section and you will see a link to Patreon. Next up, private astral projection lesson. If you'd like a lesson on how to astral project, be happy to work with you. Work with folks now all over the world, and we've had a lot of good success. I love it when people email me saying, "Hey, I just projected," and then they tell me the projection. If that is of interest to you, then just go on down to the description. There's an email there. Ask for more information. Okay, astral projection speed. Astral projection speed is a function of your energy level. And real simplistically, your energy level is directly related to how you're going to travel in the astral. And at what speed you can travel at these various vibrational energy levels. Okay, let's say you start out leaving your body and you get outside your home. Now, and by the way, I'm going to be using Robert Bruce as well as a lot of my own experiences. Luckily, Bruce and myself, pretty much agree exactly. So it's pretty much the same thing, really. Says a lot about the various laws and various physical laws, if you will, of the astral that two of us can experience pretty much the same thing. So yeah, there's a lot of variation in the astral, but there's also some pretty firm laws. Okay, so when you get outside, the first thing I usually tell people is if you're not interested in exploring the lower astral with all of its very interesting flora and fauna, I usually tell people to fly. But let's get into the various speeds that start even before you fly. The first is, of course, walking, and you can walk just like you could walk in the physical. You might find yourself floating a little bit above the ground, but basically, if you're walking in the astral, you're walking at about the speed that you would typically walk in your physical body. I would use this particular speed if I wanted to visit somewhere, let's say on my block, within a block or so of distance from where you are at the time. If you wanted to get somewhere a little bit further, you could run. And when you run in the astral, you can run at a pretty good speed. At least twice, if not three times that of walking. Typically, if you're going to run in the astral, then I would say have your goal to be certainly no more than like maybe half a mile or so away from where you are currently, because that's probably the limit at which it's an efficient way of travel. Okay, let's say though that you want to fly. The first flight level is treetop level. And people who are afraid of heights sometimes do that. I've done it at times because I don't want to travel somewhere as fast as I might otherwise. So when I travel at about treetop speed, I'm typically going anywhere, typically what cars can do. Travel at about the speed of a typical speed limit. So if you're going to do that, then, you want to have your goal to be somewhere within a couple of miles, because that's then an efficient way to get there. However, let's say you want to travel faster than that. Well, what you want to do then is to launch yourself into the sky. Usually you want to pick out a particular area, let's say near a cloud, and say, I want to be there. And you might take off like a rocket. You might take off slowly ascending. But once you get, high up into the air with the clouds, you'll find that you can move at that particular vibrational level about the speed of a jet airliner. So if you're looking to get, to another city that's nearby, that is one particularly good way to go about doing it. So those are your typical conventional speeds and conventional energy levels, and of course measured in height that you can typically travel. However, there is a last one which is quite different. And it really has two different areas that you can use with this particular flight method, and that is, your instantaneous travel, uh, where you can either, let's say, someone gave you an ident, or you were at this place once before and you've got a good ident for it. And by ident, I mean you have a really good picture in your head of what that place looked like, what it felt like, what it sounded like, what it smelled like. All of that together with a strong will then project you to that particular location. Let's say, however, that you've never been there before, and maybe you saw a picture of it or something. That's a crapshoot. You might end up going there, you might end up going somewhere completely different, or somewhere that looks a lot like that place that you saw the picture of. But let's just say it's a lot less effective way of getting somewhere instantly that you've been before, that you haven't been before, because you really want to be there before to get the true ident. Of course, the other way, other than having been there before, is line of sight. Line of sight goes a long way in being able to get somewhere that you haven't been before with, instantaneous travel. Instantaneous travel, of course, is very possible in the astral. And all you have to do is get in line of sight of something. Let me give you an example. If I want to go to a particular star that I haven't visited before, what I'm going to do is, after I've left my body, and let's say I'm hovering in the sky, that's typically when I make this decision. And I look up in the sky and I pick a star at random sometimes and say, okay, I want to go to that star. And what'll happen is, if my will is pure and my intent is there, I'll find myself very quickly making my way to that star. Usually there's a moment of blackness. I think it's just because I'm moving so fast that the images don't make it back to my physical body, because it's probably just too much information. But then eventually I'll regain consciousness, and then I'll be there in that foreign star system, where at which point I can look around and look for planets, and visit them. And I've seen my share of desert planets, of chaotic planets, of gas giants, and I've seen a few worlds that could support advanced life, and I've already reported that to you. I'm going to mention a couple of other niche type speeds. Underwater, for instance. Underwater visibility is typically more limited in the physical as well as the astral. And that determines and limits the speed that you can travel through water. Now, I've traveled pretty fast through water at times, but it's been in a Caribbean type setting where the water was very clear in the physical, and also the shadow version in the astral. So since I was able to see so far in advance in the water, I was able to travel very fast in the water. But if you're going to be like in an Atlantic ocean shore type situation where you can't see your hand in front of your face, then your speed is much reduced, because you can't see that far ahead of you and say, I want to go there, I want to go there. I mean, that's in essence what you're doing when you're going through this, going through the ocean. If you can see it clearly, then you can say, okay, I want to go all the way over there, and bam, you're there. And then you go to the next stretch. But of course, if it's very occluded, difficult to see, in the water, then of course your time in space is limited as fast as you could travel. Outer space, of course, you travel typically in speeds that are faster than light. And the reason you can do that, in my theory at least, is that if we live in a holographic universe, then all the laws that we observe are set up for physical people. However, when you're in your astral, you in essence have cheat codes, hacks that you can, let's say, bend the rules of that particular universe because you're now in the astral and the coding evidently doesn't extend really well into the astral. That's because it's probably devoted to third dimensional life. Okay, so that is a quick view of the various speeds that you can travel in the astral based on your energy vibrational level, which is also measured through height, roughly. So that's how you can get where you want to go using the proper astral speed. So if you're trying to go a block away, you don't want to travel like a jet because you're just going to buzz on by. And of course, there's just one thing I just want to mention. If you decide to go into space, aim for something like the moon because then you have a better shot at getting to the moon and stopping so that you can then go where you want to go within Earth, for instance. Because if you travel that way, let's say go to the moon, then it's very easy to go somewhere else on Earth because you can see it now. You can say, I want to go right down there to that place on Earth. However, if you don't aim for, let's say, the moon, many times what'll happen is you'll just take off like a rocket, buzz right on by our solar system, and start heading out before you can even think of stopping. So if that's, if you want a destination or a target that's a lot closer to Earth, then you want to be careful about how you go into space. Because, like I said, if you take off like a rocket, you might end up just heading already outside of our galaxy. So your local target will be long blown away. Okay, so that's a little bit about astral speed and how you control it and get where you want to go. If you found this interesting, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments. Have you observed these speeds? Does it sound about right to you? Let me know what your experiences are, and we'll just take it from there. This is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.